Right then, in this video I take a detailed look at cheap Gen 2. Woohoo! This one's branded as Express Evans. Since Otis took over Express Evans, and they just branded cheap lifts as Express, which is just disgusting since Express actually used to make really good lifts, so it does annoy me. And this is a cheap Gen 2, which is pretty much like a Gen 2, with all of the good bits removed and just left with all of the crap bits, pretty much. So then the lift kite itself is cheap, flimsy and not that good. It doesn't seem that much better than generic. The logic's very similar. There's all its annoying bits too, like shaft door protection where it goes out of service because it monitors the odd and even floor separately, and it's got all these weird overly complex bits to the logic. Its logic is so ridiculously over complex, but it's not over complex in a good way, like works well. It's over complex in a really ridiculous, useless, annoying, getting in the way sort of way, and the logic just really pisses me off in Gen 2s. And as well as that, despite the fact it's over complex, it's not actually that good because it's really slow, lots of time wasting, and it goes really slow in the last before it stops, doesn't open its doors before it stops. It's like the worst bits of Gen 2 and none of the good bits. So let's start this video off by taking a ride in it. And now, open up the logic cabinet. And here's the Gen 2 logic. Irritating as usual. Yeah, and it's got actual proper buttons or a menu this time rather than just the little micro switches on the circuit board. But you can't get into the menu without the Otis Gen 2 gadget. And notice are really protective of their gadget. They don't even give it out to other lift companies. So you have to have your maintenance contract by Otis or one of the companies Otis owns. So this is very much a restrictive practice. And me pressing buttons on the menu does not do anything because I haven't verified I'm a genuine Otis engineer. Now I've got the Otis gadget. Ridiculous. So then the first thing we're going to do is freeform a Gen 2. So turn off the power, put in the BRB key, and at the same time press the BRB button. And you can do this with the doors open because this is like a separate circuit inside the logic, which is like a special circuit. So if all else fails, this bit of circuitry will get the lift going again, but just simply by releasing a brake and doing a controlled freefall, moving lift upwards because lift's empty, it calibrates more heavy, lift goes upwards, and it's to release the passengers. I actually prefer it when it's actually mechanical, like Koniko this, where you can just pull a lever and it releases a brake. I think this is more fail-safe than the Gen 2 because the Gen 2 is still relying on electronics to get it going again after a failure, which is potentially not good. So then, let's now freefall for Gen 2. And now, let's mess about with the logic. So then you've got this switch here, which makes the lift move while on engineer mode, and all of a sudden it stopped working, and you had this really bad noise coming from the motor and you tried to make it move, which was really weird and not good at all. But it seemed to correct itself after about 30 seconds, so I don't know what happened there, but it now appears to be working again. Gen 2s are very temperamental. When you think of Otis, they're like the biggest lift company, and you think of them as being the best lift company. Well, not anymore. This lift's pretty shit. So then, it's lift perfect time. Let's Gen 2. And on this lift, you can't make it move with the car stop controls. Well, it's in engineer mode. It's really odd. I mean, these lifts really do seem temperamental. It's odd because the other Gen 2 should only work if you had it in engineer mode and inspection mode at the same time. But this one has to be on inspection mode, but not in engineer mode. There's so much about this. It's unpredictable. I don't really quite trust this lift, which is quite scary simply of its unpredictableness. And here is the little board that bypasses the safety. Let's make this lift move for safety bypass.